match this close.
Absolutely. And Nihal has adopted a very interesting strategy, as we were discussing before the break. It appears that he has prepared an assortment of offbeat lines against, particularly against Wesley's 1e4. And the Alekhine didn't work out. The b6 Sicilian did get him what he wanted. So only, time will tell if this strategy is going to work out. I think in bullet and in the 3-minute, though, I kind of like that strategy from Nihal if he continues it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he's done it right from the beginning, because it's possible that maybe you bring out your sort of more mainline weapons for the majority of the blitz and longer time controls, and then when you get to 1 minute, all of a sudden you hit him with these offbeat things, because he's done it so early that if Wesley starts to figure out and use the breaks and maybe check some lines, he's not really going to be surprised by these when it comes to the bullet.
Right. And we have here a far more conventional opening known as the anti-Berlin. I don't know if anybody in the chat has ever heard of the Berlin. Not a very frequent test at the high level.
Yeah, and
right.
Wesley isn't like a professed expert or anything.
No. This is the first. He's just experimenting with it in this match.
Well, he's doing a damn good job. I mean, wow. So it's almost like he knows all the theory.
He sees everything. And White has many, many ways of handling this position. C3 is one of them, potentially preparing to expand in the center with D4, although White isn't always in a big rush to play that move.
Mm-hmm.
Another idea that you sometimes see is bishop g5 to induce f6 and then drop the bishop back to e3. Although sometimes Black plays f6 on his own volition. So I'll be honest, I really don't have a good handle on these types of positions. Maybe bishop e3.
I thought you and I would get along quite well, because you were suggesting bishop g5 and I was about to suggest f6. So I mean, we could really get along here in this game.
Yeah. Rook e1 instead by Nihal, and I do think he has his eyes on d4. If he would have played that immediately, then after he takes d4, the pawn on e4 would have been hanging. So f6, there we go.
Yeah, d4 makes some sense here. Knight is looking to probably go to c5 and then back to e6, which is a great square to nestle on and cover d4, cover f4. So that's definitely an idea I would expect from Wesley here.
And especially because the d3 pawn could end up being very tender. Although, if Nihal wants to go crazy, he can go knight h4, rook e3. Although this just seems very premature. White's pieces start to get really loose. So an important moment here for White. Decision time. Does he play d4? Does he keep developing? Yes, he plays d4.
And I think you got to move the knight in order to get the rest of the pieces out. So knight b6 is looking basically automatic, because there's just no other square, and you'd never want to waste time going bishop e7, knight f8. So.
Knight a5 is a lovely move, slowing down, basically preventing the development of the bishop. And on bishop b4, no, you don't play bishop d2. You play queen b3 check and win the bishop.
That's awesome. Yeah, bishop b4 is a easy move to forget. You think you're the one doing the tactic with the fork, and you get forked yourself.
Right. Bishop e6 for that reason comes to mind, to pave the way for a potential bishop b4. And then maybe we'll go a3, h3, and then a3.
Yeah, hey, beginner chess, man. Stop those bishop moves. It still works at the highest level.
Indeed. No, h3 is one of the purest moves in chess. Just stop the development of the bishop. And Wesley taking his time. What other candidate moves announce themselves? h6. Come on. I think he's preparing f5.
So what did he not like about f5 initially? Because, bishop g5 and knight g5 aren't the end of the world. At least it doesn't seem that way.
Well, I think it's unpleasant, though, because now queen b3 is threatened. And if you take it, then White plays queen h5. Maybe after h6, Black is fine. But, we often talk about it. Wesley just doesn't like these types of positions with a really weak king.
That's true. Yeah, he must have been looking at that line, because it's possible that you might be able to get away with h6 there, but he's going for the no-nonsense way of getting f5.
And one might wonder, well, what if White just plays e5? Well, this is a technique known as carving out the d5 square. Now Black has a beautiful outpost either for the queen or for the knight. This is not desirable for White. So Nihal probably is aiming for something like knight e5. And then you've got to watch for knight takes c6 ideas as well. A lot of stuff under the surface here. It's sort of the calm before the storm. And
I think this is kind of why he played bishop f4. So he takes f5. And if you play bishop takes, then you can grab e8 and take on c7. And if you take the rook on e1 first as black, then queen takes e1 and maybe queen e5 at the end and also win a pawn. So I feel like that this is kind of what Nihal was expecting, and it's sort of playing into it a bit.
Yep, this is what they're going for, and good tactical eye by you. I think queen e5 looks good. He plays it. And what might happen is some sort of end game. But here's the issue. If white takes on c7, Aman, that pawn on b7 is also going to become very weak. That placement of the knight on a5 was... that was an all-star move.
That's right. So what about
I think
queen d5, queen c7, rook c8?
Oh.
I guess you just go back to e5.
My apologies for that. But yeah, you go back to e5, and again, right. b7 is in some trouble.
Yeah, that's you got to go for it as white. I mean, it's your whole plan.
Okay, Wesley up on the clock. He's up a minute, but still plenty of time. Bishop e4. What is going on here?
It's funny. In that last position, you could almost take on h3 instead of bishop e4.
Oh, because gh queen takes f3, and if queen takes d5, you hit the bishop. Wait, what was wrong with bishop takes h3?
I don't think there was anything wrong. It's just that like you're not necessarily looking for it.
Well, what was wrong is that Amon Hamilton suggested it.
Yeah, it couldn't have happened.
It was by rule. So Wesley does take on f3, dropping the queen back. He doesn't take on f3 with the queen, which I was expecting. Instead, hunting for the h pawn.
This is a very interesting move, because what's probably going to happen, and we're going to get it on the board, is a knight against bishop position where, no question about it, Nihal has the better side of things. He's up, what is it, 2 pawns temporarily here? Might turn into one.
Look at this knight. This knight is a monster.
It is.
And Wesley with a very good practical idea to go for a position where white's king is kind of permanently weak, even if black doesn't have full compensation for the 2 pawns.
And I think he does. Like, for example, queen f5, bishop g3, nice and solid for white. Black goes rook e6, hides his king on h7, and just kind of has the whole board to play for.
Yeah, rook g6, knight f4, you know, the queen and the knight combo is nothing to be trifled with, is not to be trifled with. And this is happening, rook e6. And this is very dangerous for Nihal, who now drops to about a minute on the clock. If you play queen d7, you walk into some sort of a discovery. Ugh.
Yeah. That's very sneaky.
If
white goes pawn grabbing, queen b8 takes a7, black doesn't care. There's enough good stuff happening on the king's side.
Absolutely not. Yeah, black would even be happy to give up c6. Now, maybe queen d8, queen h4. Nihal should consider. It's not pretty, but at least you get your queen into the defense.
Right, and then black's king is so safe. Maybe then you could switch to the move you were going to play earlier, rook e2, and it's like you've kind of put the queen on a bad square, and your rook's great on e2 again.
Now he goes for rook g1, and perhaps the king can be tucked away on h2, but at the right moment. Knight f4, though, is a big threat right now. So the moment might have to be right now. Yeah, at the right moment. Timely moments. Wow.
Okay, rook takes g3 has to be decent here, right?
I think it probably leads to some sort of a perpetual. h5. Okay, knight f4, and I think, believe it or not, okay, you can't take on f4 because of queen takes f2. Queen f7. Maybe queen f7, queen b3. I feel like I'm the expert in these mediocre queen maneuvers.
So, but black basically has a draw on hand. It looks like with rook takes g3.
Yeah.
No matter what. So white just has to make some defensive move, like
8 seconds.
f7 or queen a3, and I think black makes a draw with rook g3. Unless
I think he basically has to rook takes g3, and then we're gonna have. I think white can take with either piece.
Right.
Oh wait, this is. Are you sure that this is a draw? Oh yeah, queen e2 and then queen e4. So black has to be quite careful.
It was a draw. So there you go. That is the exact pitfall. It could happen to you too.
And I think for Wesley, he has to avoid the temptation to try to do something cheap like queen e4, because we all know that for Nihal, 9 seconds is an eternity. And if he consolidates here, you know, he's going to win this game. So as Wesley might be a little bit disappointed that he did manage to convert the attack into a full point, but I think he should take the draw with rook takes g3.
I agree. I don't really see another way. Like if you go queen e4, queen e3 appears on the board, quick as a flash, and all of a sudden you're just instant regret.
Yeah, exactly. This sometimes happens. And Wesley plays rook takes g3. That's one of his strengths is his level-headedness. He rarely makes unobjective decisions. He doesn't really tilt, and he has to find some moves here, though.
Mm-hmm.
Queen e1 is very accurate.
Right.
And we're going to
once again, rook g1, queen on a3 covers everything, f3 and h3. So don't want to be checking on f1.
Right. Back to e1. Wesley trying to avoid 3-time repetition, but
I think that's what you do as a chess player. It's like you always play to avoid it, even though even if no chance, but
exactly
no option.
It's all about drawing from a position of strength. Back to that trope.
Yep.
And
he's getting as many checks in, for his value.